Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this evening's latest update on Winter Storm Olive. So, Winter Storm Olive is already bringing snow to northern Washington State, Idaho, and Montana as of 7 p.m. Central Standard Time this evening. And as we go into the overnight tonight, heavy snow is going to spread from north to south across Montana, the Washington State, Oregon, as well as Idaho, going into Tuesday morning. We're going to be seeing heavy snow all across the Northwest. We're going to be seeing snow across areas like Seattle and Portland, and the snow is going to go all the way to coastal Washington and Oregon by Tuesday evening, with heavy snow moving into areas like Nevada, Utah, Wyoming by Tuesday evening. We could get an initial round of snow even across the northern plains tomorrow evening, going into Wednesday morning. This is when the storm is going to absolutely explode over the four corners. We're going to be seeing very heavy snow across Utah, Arizona, Colorado, uh, Wyoming, spreading into western South Dakota, northwestern Nebraska, going into Wednesday afternoon. The model has been showing this for 4 days now. Snow across the entire western third of the country by Wednesday afternoon, with a big ice storm breaking out across Iowa. Could be impacting Chicago. Detroit's going to be seeing heavy icing by Wednesday afternoon. And heavy snow across the Dakotas, southern Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Going into Wednesday night, very heavy snow, blizzard conditions are going to be spreading across the Dakotas, Nebraska, Minnesota, Iowa, uh, Wisconsin, and Michigan, with the ice storm continuing and spreading into the Northeast, with snow spreading into New England. And going into Thursday morning, we're going to be seeing the blizzard continue across the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, and snow and ice in the Northeast. And then going into Thursday afternoon, we're still going to be seeing an intense low pressure over the Great Lakes with heavy snow, strong winds, and blizzard conditions. And then the storm is finally going to push out Thursday night and Friday. So, taking a look at the latest snowfall accumulations in the GFS model, these keep getting higher. This has gotten higher since yesterday's update. We're still seeing the widespread 1 to 2 feet of snow across the west, with 3 feet in the mountains. So the mountain snow is actually downtrended a little, but the snow is uptrended across areas like South Dakota and especially Minnesota, where the GFS model is now putting between 20 and 37 inches of snow across eastern South Dakota, southern Minnesota, including Minneapolis, and western Wisconsin. If this verifies, Minneapolis could be seeing 32 inches of snow, and this is just crazy. This could be historic for Minneapolis, St. Paul. And then even going towards Green Bay, we could be seeing 1.5 feet of snow. The Upper Peninsula of Michigan, 1.5 to 2 feet of snow. In the Michigan itself, Lower Peninsula, 6 inches to 1 foot, going into the Northeast. Upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Western Maine, 1 foot to 1.5 feet, with 6 inches to 1 foot across the rest of Maine. About 2 to 5 inches across Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island could see about 1 to 2 inches of snow from this. And then we're going to be checking the European model for snowfall accumulations next, see what this is showing. And the European model is showing just a little bit less across the northern plains and Great Lakes, but still a widespread 1.5 to 2 feet across southern North Dakota, South Dakota, northern Nebraska, central southern Minnesota, central northern Wisconsin, much of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, Wyoming, and Montana. And then looking at the Canadian model, the Canadian model is still showing the same thing widespread 1.5 to 2 feet of snow, and the Canadian model is bringing this corridor of possibly 2 to 3 feet of snow across eastern South Dakota, central southern Minnesota, central western Wisconsin. So this, I believe, is going to be the area that's going to see the highest snowfall totals from Winter Storm Olive, is from Sioux City, Sioux Falls, through Minneapolis, St Paul, Rochester, into Eau Claire to Green Bay. You could be seeing as much as 2 to 3 feet of snow from this, so make sure you are preparing for that. And finally, taking a look at the ice accumulations. This is also a very serious issue. Going to be these heavy freezing rain accumulations across the Great Lakes. And the latest GFS model run is putting widespread 1/4 to 1/2 inch of ice across south central Iowa as well as north central Illinois with a narrow band. So I think the model is overdoing it here, but this model wants to put between 1 inch to 1.5 inches of ice in the Chicago area, about 3/4 of an inch in the Detroit area, southwest Michigan, 1 inch to 1.5 inches of ice, and then across Pennsylvania, New York State, about 1/4 to 1/2 an inch of freezing rain accumulations. So this is going to be a dangerous ice storm across the Great Lakes. Make sure you're preparing for this, as we're going to be seeing a lot of falling trees and power outages. And then finally, taking a look at the severe weather. This is actually the only good news I have. The Storm Prediction Center has downgraded the severe threat to marginal across northeast Texas, southeast Oklahoma, Arkansas, northern Louisiana, Mississippi, and Tennessee for Wednesday. But still, make sure you prepare for some isolated severe weather if you live in these areas from that. And before I go, I just gotta show you this National Weather Service Watches Warning and Advisory map. The entire western third of the country is under some sort of weather advisory. We got winter storm warnings widespread across Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, northwestern Oregon, Washington State, parts of California, much of Utah, western Colorado, into the Mogollon Rim of Arizona, into western South Dakota, northwestern Nebraska, and across south central Minnesota in the pinks, widespread winter storm warnings. We even have some blizzard warnings across south central Wyoming and far north central Montana. In the oranges, we have winter storm watches in the dark blues, extending into Michigan, Wisconsin, northwestern Iowa, winter weather advisories in the purples, and then all these tan areas are this is going to be a lot. This storm is going to be generating a lot of wind. So widespread wind advisories in the light tans, high wind warnings in the darker tans in many areas, and high wind watches in the darkest tans. So make sure you are preparing for widespread significant impacts if you live across the western third of the country, the north central plains, the upper Midwest, and eventually the Northeast. Snow, ice, and very strong winds are all going to occur with this. So make sure you have a plan in place to deal with this extreme weather. Stay safe and have a wonderful evening, my friends.